Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the GSMC Hockey Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Garrison McDaniel, and we have a great show for you guys today, like always, where we will be diving into some more season previews. I've done them. Now we'll be through the seas after today, so we're doing Colorado today and Columbus. The first segment will be Colorado. Our last segment will be Columbus, splitting up the season previews amongst this episode. And then in our second segment tonight, we're going to be talking about Evgeny Kuznetsov, a fantastic forward that has played a long time in the NHL, is retiring from the NHL and deciding to go to the KHL to play the remainder of his career of hockey. In our third segment, we're going to be talking about some teams that are still left to make some big offseason moves. We have a few teams that are well over the salary cap, and we have some other teams that are probably going to look to bolster their team. And then in our fourth segment of the night, we'll be talking about the top 10 wingers in the NHL, as well as the offseason. So what else is there to do, But anyways, without further ado, we're going to get right into all that. But before we do, if you would like to become a bigger part of the show, help out support the GSMC Sports Network in more ways than you guys already do, use the tips and donations link at the GSMC or at gsmcpodcast.net. It does go a long way, helping the creators here at the GSMC Sports Network. So with that being said, we're going to get into the first segment of the night here, talking about the Colorado Avalanche and their season preview. So the Colorado Avalanche made it to the second round last season, after a little bit of a disappointing 2022-23 season. Of course, Gabriel Landeskog was injured for the entire. It's now been 2 years since we've seen Gabriel Landeskog play hockey. Of course, getting injured in the Stanley Cup Final, and then they went on to win the Stanley Cup Final, but he hasn't played since then. Since that game, I think Game 6 they beat Tampa Bay in. I think it was 6 games, but anyways, get sidetracked there. But yeah. It's been a slow decline for the Colorado Avalanche for the last couple of years, but they still have one of the best players in the NHL on their team. Of course, that is Nathan MacKinnon. He is still going to be the anchor of this team for, well, at least 6 more years, or 7 more years he's contracted for until he's 35 years old. They had Mikko Rantanen on a contract year, so is he going to be extended by the Avalanche this offseason, or are they going to have those talks throughout the season? We'll see what that timeline looks like. That is a huge piece of their team. I don't anticipate him moving anywhere. I think it is very similar to the Leon Draisaitl situation over in Edmonton. Casey Middlestat is a fantastic forward on this team. He's making $5.75 for the next 3 years. Arturi Lehkonen, they have other players like Jonathan Drouin, Miles Wood, Colin Ross Colton that are good pieces, but really this team is a fantastic defensive team. Cale Makar, Devin Taves, Sam Girard, Josh Manson, Calvin DeHaan, Eric Brandstrom, just all very good defensemen at the NHL level, and all of them are on the Colorado Avalanche. Their problem here is Alexander Georgiev. They need to improve in net if they want to get better next season. That was a huge flaw of this team this past season. So hopefully they are able to do so. Of course, no Valery Nichushkin for who knows how long. He is in the player assistance program for stuff that happened over the playoffs. I still think that it's kind of like up in the air of what did happen. So that's all speculatory. I'm not gonna speculate on it. I'm not I'm not around the team. I'm not around Valery Nichushkin, so I have no real clue. But this team is missing 2 top 6 forwards, at least going into next season. Both of them are assumed to come back about midway through the season, but that's still a long part of the season without 2 top 6 wingers. Gabriel Landeskog and Valery Nichushkin. Valery Nichushkin had 14 goals in the postseason before he got suspended by the NHL. That was leading the postseason in goals, and it would have led the postseason in goals until halfway through the Stanley Cup Final. That guy's huge to this team, and being without him is going to suck. The bottom 6 for Colorado looks really bad. Miles Wood, Ross Colton, Logan O'Connor, Parker Kelly, Chris Wagner, Joel Kiviranta is just not that good, and they don't have money to bolster it up. They're negative. Excuse me. They're negative $3 million in cap space, which is a little bit concerning. if you're the Colorado Avalanche. If there's a team to kind of decline in the Central, with Nashville coming up, with how good, we assume the Dallas Stars are going to be next season. The Minnesota Wild look like they're on the come up. You have other teams like Winnipeg doesn't look like they're going to go anywhere anytime soon. So who's going to be the team to fall in the Central? There's going to need to be a team to fall, and it might just be the Colorado Avalanche. This team is lacking depth. This team is lacking goaltending, and this team doesn't have money to improve on that. Like I said, $3 million over the cap already, and I think that's also without including contracts of I'm actually almost confident, 100% sure it's not including. Yeah, it doesn't include $8 million in Gabriel Landeskog, or $7 million in Gabriel Landeskog, 6.125 of Valerie Nichushkin. That's very, very, very concerning. They're well over the salary cap, and then it's not like they have a lot of prospects to help them out. They have Callum Ritchie, who's a good piece as far as prospects goes. Andre Pavel could be ready here soon. Jean-Luc Foudy could be ready here soon. But other than that, it's not that great. So in Colorado, they're lacking depth, and they're definitely going to need to make a move sometime this offseason, sometimes throughout maybe next season, to get a better third line at least. I mean, look at the third line that Florida had when they won their cup this last season. It was Vladimir Tarasenko, Anton Lundell, and the third line left wing spot rotated in and out, but still, like, those first two is such huge pieces to a core, to a team, and to be able to have a good third line that can put points on the board is so important. And then to have pieces like Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar on top of that is overwhelming. But now what they're going into next season with is, well, not a fantastic bottom six, and the second line doesn't move me too much either. I mean, you have Arturi Lehkonen, who's a good player, Casey Milstad, who's good, but Nikolai Kovalenko is going to be that second line right winger is projected right now. Really, what they're missing is Gabriel Landeskog. If you could just move Jonathan Drouin to that second line right wing, have Gabriel Landeskog on that first line again with the Avalanche, or with McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen, I mean, that's huge. That's the difference in this team right here. Just moving everybody a step down. Nikolai Kovalenko can move down to Logan O'Connor's spot. Logan O'Connor can move down to Chris Wagner or Joel Kiviranta's spot. And then this team looks so much better. But right now, as it looks, without Gabriel Landeskog, without Valerie Nichushkin, without a goaltender, which I still assume that they're going to need to improve upon, the team looks pretty rough. And you're going to need to improve on that if you're going to want to be competitive, especially in the Central. Like we said, the Central looks very difficult. So the Colorado Avalanche, it's not like alarm bells need to be flying, but definitely could go with, having different... having additions to this team. There's still guys out in free agency. We talked about it on our Friday podcast. If you want to see who is still out on free agency, I'm not going to go through the list, but there's definitely veteran pieces in a forward core that can help you win, like a Jacob Vrana or something like that. This team definitely needs to go out and get somebody. I mean, you would think that a Jacob Vrana is willing to take maybe even a two-way contract, just because he's looking at it and there's no place that wants to pick me up. But you're still gonna that's a piece that needs to be picked up. And Colorado Avalanche is a team that needs to go out and be aggressive, because you have guys like Nathan McKinnon, you have guys like Cam Makar in the prime of their careers that are absolutely superstars. You're trying to win another Stanley Cup, just the one in 2022. Of course, winning a Stanley Cup is extremely hard, but you look at this core and you assume that they want to win multiple. You want to be a dynasty here in Colorado, kind of like 96 and 01 they were. This team is very, very good, but the depth is lacking. And I mean, you look at Florida last year, you look at Vegas 2 years ago, even Colorado 3 years ago had fantastic depth, and then their cap space, their cap problems caught up with them. I mean, it's all over the place. This team can be extremely good if they go out and get some more veteran help, some scorers on their third and fourth line that can produce and help them when it comes to the regular season. When, Nathan McCann is not going to score a goal every single game and not going to assist on 2 goals every game. Cam Makar is not going to be able to, help out offensively every single game. And, having a guy on the third and fourth line to bear that burden a little bit can go a long way. So when we talk about my predictions for the Colorado Avalanche season, I think it's still going to be fine. I think this team is still really good. I do worry with Nashville getting so much better in the Central. Just looking at all around the Central, it's scary. What team's missing the playoffs here? The Blues are probably going to be a team that misses the playoffs. And then beyond that, can you really assume anybody else? Like Winnipeg, I would be shocked if they miss. Minnesota looks really good. Dallas Stars look really good. The Colorado Avalanche. And then, you have every other team besides the Chicago Blackhawks are good. So the Blackhawks miss. The Blues miss. And saying the Blues miss might still be wrong. The St. Louis Blues have always been a very, underdog story when it comes to a playoff spot. I think the Colorado Avalanche can be, a 5th team in the Central. And is that good enough to be a playoff team in the Western Conference when you have... I think so. I think the LA Kings could be that team that's, the one that's out. I believe Utah... won't make it, so I think that if you're gonna look at the 3 teams in the Central, it would probably be the Blackhawks, Utah, although Utah looks really good, and then St. Louis, but that's still difficult. St. Louis is probably gonna finish around 90 points, anyways. Utah's gonna probably finish around like 80s, mid 80s, and then the Chicago Blackhawks are probably gonna be around the 70s because some team has to lose in this division. So I would say that they make a playoff spot. I think that they squeak into the playoffs with the bottom seed, the 8th seed, playing the top team in the West, which is a difficult draw. But and all of this is contingent on when Gabriel Landeskog if Gabriel Landeskog and Valeri Nichushkin come back to play in the NHL kind of regularly. If it happens, when it happens, we still don't know. Things are up in the air with that. But it's going to be an interesting storyline to focus on throughout the entire season. I think Colorado is such an interesting team in general throughout next season. They have the talent to win, but do they have the supporting cast? Well, we'll find out. Definitely we will find out when it comes to the regular season. That's what I can't wait for. So that'll wrap it up for the Colorado Avalanche season preview. I had them right around the bottom of the Western Conference playoff teams. I have them around the 8th, 7th seed. I'm interested to hear your guys' thoughts on that. If you guys want to put where you might have them down below in the comments section. But that'll wrap it up for the first segment of the night, talking about the Colorado Avalanche. When I come back for my first break of the night, we'll be talking about Evgeny Kuznetsov and his retirement from the NHL.